Hello, good people. Welcome to our show. Hello, bad people. Welcome to our show. Hello, anyone who wants to learn more about SEO. Welcome. Today we're going to discuss more about SEO, about AI, about generative engine experience. Someone can call it SEO. Someone can separate from SEO, so we can learn different opinions about that. So anyway, we need to adapt, we need to adjust our strategy that we use for a long time for 10 blue links, because today AI overview and AI mode can steal attention. We also have ChatGPT, Perplexity, and everyone wants to get attention. It doesn't matter what kind of environment you have. I'm so excited to discuss a lot more with Dave Davis. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Big pleasure to get you back. You spoke 2 times on my podcast. So the last time that happened 2 years ago, I'm looking for new solutions. Many things changed for 2 years, probably more than for the last 2 decades. We got many things. And today, SEMrush was acquired by Adobe. I'm interested to learn your opinion about that, because I analyze what people can think. So many things are going fast. We need to adapt. So Dave Davis, before we start, just remind more about yourself, experience, background, and anything that can help to learn more about you.
Sure. For context or like perspective on the way I am sort of like, as I'm chatting today, the sort of perspective that I have on things. I've been doing SEO since early 2000s, like started a company in 2004 doing it. So was doing it a few years before that, running an agency with my wife, Mary. But about 5 years ago, I went in-house, and I had the great fortune of going in-house for a company named Weights and Biases, who trains. They're the tools or platform that machine learning models are trained on. And I'm really grateful for that now, because some of those models that were trained on it are tools like GPT. They're tools like most of the foundation models. So I sort of, starting 5 years ago, started testing. It's not that I have some secret sauce into how they work. I don't see that data. None of us do here. But it does give me some insights working with machine learning engineers all the time over the last 5 years. It sort of readied me for like, oh, okay, I understand how chunking works. I understand how entities work and knowledge graphs. Like I knew knowledge graphs and entities. Jason Bernard's like, great to chat about that and learning from him on some of those topics, but how it all sort of like connects on the machine learning side has been really helpful. So yeah, that's sort of where I speak from. One of the pros to that, I have some experience, like as I'm speaking. One of the cons for the audience, depending on how they're viewing things, is I am predominantly in-house, right? Most of my knowledge circles around a very high level of knowledge around one industry. It happens to be the AI industry, but it circles around sort of one, where some of the people that you've spoken with, my old podcast co-host Jim Hedger, who I know you had on a bit ago, works with agencies, so is more familiar with a variety of different industries than I might be, as opposed to my like focus on one. So as I'm speaking, that's the context that I'm.
That's nice. That's nice. Dave, I want to ask you about SEMrush, that was acquired today by Adobe. I knew that you didn't know about this news, but so I just want to learn your initial opinion about that, because I learned many things today, a lot of comments, and most people can think the price will go up because Adobe knows how to sell expensive stuff. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean that's a good idea, and you're right, because of course it's early where I am, and I sort of walked in, did my prep, and then you let me know about this. I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot of news to like ingest in like a few minutes here. But from my initial thoughts, I do get the instinct that the cost will go up, and it might. Like I would put a big might on that, because I could see a lot of scenarios where it doesn't. So they're purchased by Adobe, as you know, and I can see a lot of trajectories where Adobe could be more interested in the data that SEMrush can provide them than just having another thing to sell, right? Like, I mean, Adobe does great. It acquired, like, I've been in this industry long enough to remember when they acquired Macromedia, and then all of a sudden they had like Dreamweaver and Photoshop and all of those things. But I suspect, my instinct, and I could absolutely be wrong, I think this is more a data play than it will be a, hey, we need to have a brand new thing that we're going to charge $10,000 for instead of $2,500 for, depending on whatever plan you're on or whatever. I suspect they might add more and go, hey, we've got new plans that actually like loop in, as they're known to do, and go, okay, it is a little bit more, but now all of your like Adobe products are pitched in or whatever, like that route. Or they may just keep it as sort of what it is right now and almost use it as more like a loss leader sort of content, or maybe not loss leader, but like a sort of something that they use just to collect data en masse on how are people using the web, right? The technology that SEMrush is bringing to the table on, I mean, it's not my favorite of the AI or GEO or AIO or whatever we want to call it, visibility sort of systems, but it's a good system, right? For monitoring geo visibility. Maybe they just want that, not just for Adobe, not even necessarily just for Adobe customers, but for the web as a whole, like to understand how all of that's going, because Adobe's in an interesting spot as they're trying to keep up with the pace of technology right now in image generation. Well, like that's kind of like, I need image, like I use Photoshop less now like than I used to, or right, like so keeping up with this industry, I could see Adobe making some other sort of big acquisitions on the image generation side, and then using systems like SEMrush to help them understand where things are going, and also just drop in their products right into the middle of them. Hey, want to improve this image that you're generating through our system? You know, hey, here's you know the data around that says you should be framing it this way, or something like that. So it's going to be a really, really interesting one to watch. I have a lot of friends, so I'm happy for them, because I did not think this story ended super well for them. Like, it's just been sort of sitting in the back of my head, watching their share price sort of decline a little bit over the last year, and going, ooh, I don't know, and seeing better tools at the geo side coming up, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how this ends. So for them, I'm really, really happy that this ended with a
We'll see. You know, I can create such technologies, big technologies, but I can be on the second stage. For me, it doesn't matter which tools I can use. It should bring me value. If I get value, if I can create stuff by using this tool, so I'm in. So if Adobe can bring new features to SEMrush, and these features will be cost this money, so bring more value, of course I will use it. You know, so I mean, it depends on what we get from this acquisition. If just price will go up without bringing new features or some updates, then probably Ahrefs and other tools will take more market. So it's competitive.
For sure. And like you, like every year at renewal time, I look around at the landscape and I evaluate the tools and cost changes on SEMrush. And I mean, I say I have, you know, better tools for sure, but do I still subscribe to SEMrush? For sure, right? Like, it's still a great tool, certainly on the legacy SEO side. And they have some nice features on the GEO side as well. So, you know, it's good. But if, yeah, you're right. If they increase the price without increasing the features, then yeah, next time it comes time for renewal, it'll be like, oh, okay, well, the cost is higher, and the evaluation comparing with Ahrefs or other things that I might use for more legacy SEO features. And Ahrefs also has a nice suite of GEO
Of course.
as well.
Of course. Yeah. Dave, I want to ask about AI search and even more. I mean, like the last time it's popular, probably, I don't know, I got like plus 100 requests to check out AI brand mentions tools. You know, SEMrush has, Ahrefs, you have big companies like Profound, many others. So basically, and many small companies, and all of them launch similar features, but I check out a few experts who say it's useless. You don't need, I mean, like you don't have technology that can check out today brand mentions. You can use ChatGPT to ask these prompts and analyze your brand mentions as well. So anything like that. What do you think about? Is it a good idea to check out today brand mentions on ChatGPT, Google AI Mod, and other places?
Yeah, it's a really, really, the short answer to me is yes. That it's important to keep your eye on them. With a big, and of course, you know, I'm an SEO. So here's my big slap of a sticker of it depends, right? Like, and in this case, I guess it's not so much an it depends, but understanding the context of what you're looking at is incredibly important. So Do I use a tool to monitor? I mean, I have 450 and growing prompts in this tool, monitored across a variety of different generative engines, trying to help me keep an eye on what's going on. Do I think that's important? Yes. But it is really, really important to also keep in mind that just yesterday, I was looking at trip planning to the Outer Banks. It's a region of North Carolina on the east coast of the United States. So I was looking that up, and I thought to myself while I was doing that, if my wife, who's accompanying me on this trip, who sits 10 feet to my left, not when I'm doing podcasts, but normally sits 10 feet to my left, if she on ChatGPT, I don't know that would be the generative engine she would start on. It probably wouldn't be Google anymore. So the beginning of our journey is different. But what's important when it comes to brand, sort of monitoring things like that is the way she would search, where she would start her journey would be very different than where I started my journey. We might be looking at the same thing. Most of us might be going, hey, I'm just trying to figure out, like, I'm not even at where am I staying or what restaurants do I want to go to, things that are more action oriented. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out what's there that I might want to see. And both of us might start and then sort of go through that journey a little bit differently. So the reason I say that makes a big, it depends on there is, as I was going through and I was sort of like looking through, and my prompt that actually generated the list of companies that I could look at for where I want to stay is, yeah, show me some companies. That was the prompt because it asked me if I wanted to. And so I was like, yeah, show me some companies. That's not a prompt you can monitor. Really, it's not at all. So we hit two problems. One is we need to understand when we're monitoring sort of generative engines and we're putting in those prompts, all we're doing is we're looking directionally. We're not going like, I know there's X number of queries for like SEO service tool, right? Or like whatever it is you're trying to target. I guess I got SEMrush on the brain. Right? So like that's what I'm looking at there. So, we're not able to do the same thing. So I'm sort of going, okay, I'm using this prompt as a placeholder for that. Another thing that I have a challenge, and I'm playing with GPTs and gems and stuff to try and help me do this, is as I was discussing sort of my journey, it starts at the top of the funnel, and I'm writing an article on this for Search Engine Land, right? Like the traffic that we're seeing go away, and we're all hearing reported going away, most of it is top of funnel or tofu traffic, right? Like this is like, how do I queries, right? Like, how do I optimize my meta description tag? That's the stuff that's getting eroded from AI overviews, from ChatGPT. Once we get down to the bottom of the funnel stuff, that's still where the clicks are happening, because when I'm actually going, oh, I'm actually ready to rent a place, I'm clicking through, right? So I've had like the first 10 touch points happened right on ChatGPT, and the last one might have happened over, I'm buying the same number of things. So we also need to come up with prompts that actually mimic, that put this huge context into it, that sort of mimics the natural flow that I would have had at the beginning, and then ends with the sort of like final question. So that's, I think we need to really think in a sophisticated way about how we're measuring the prompts, and then take a really fuzzy view of what that data means and go, I'm just looking for, in this specific section of prompts, in this like tag where I've gone all things related to, and I'm trying to put it in like a thing I'm not working on because I don't want to give too much away about how I work on my specific project, like on weights and biases stuff, only because I only work on one thing, so I can't make things really vague here. But if I was working for the rental company on the Outer Banks, I would be monitoring all of the things in the tags around sort of how am I doing at the top of the funnel? How am I doing for like, what are things to do? I'm really going to care about brand mentions. I'm not going to, am I even showing up? Maybe not even a brand mention. Am I cited? Like, is my content worth citing on this?
Yeah.
Further down the funnel though, when it actually gets into that engagement side, that's where I'd be really interested to know less on the traffic, and I'll get to that, and more on the brand mention. And then if I only get a brand mention, but not a link, does that augment my brand search? Like, do I see an increase over in Search Console? So that's, it's a very, very, and I know I answered a very easy or sort of short question in a long-winded way, but it's a really complicated question to answer. And I think we need to be looking, going, okay, I need to bucket my queries and go directionally. this is how I'm faring against my competitors directionally, not for each individual query. So it's up to me as the person picking the prompts to make sure I pick really well prompts that represent what my users are most likely to do, even if it's not exactly the way they would search for something.
Yeah, I think like, yeah, I understand all this point, because it's different experience when people use Google. Like 60-70% of people don't change the keyword. They just search one keyword and it's enough to get all this information, to live with one blue link, or just, I don't know, or read AI overview, AI mode. But on ChatGPT, it's like long questions, and you never satisfied with one long question. I usually ask 5 times, 10 times. I can speak with this tool even more often than with my wife, to learn something about interesting topics. So yeah, I think like it's quite different experience. And I don't know how to monitor all this data. I mean, like, because it's not the same that people use Google or ChatGPT or AI chats. It doesn't matter. Grok, Claude, Perplexity, it's different. It's quite different. Yeah.
It is. It's very, very different. And I mean, I think we're going to see that a lot more with AI mode. Like, I know yesterday I was just reading about an announcement where they've got a more agentic, it's a strong human in the loop. Like, you need to go, yes, I want to reserve this. But right baked into the AI mode interface, they're adding in the ability to reserve, like pick time, because they're just working through their APIs, right? And going like, oh, okay, you can like actually pick a time at this restaurant. They're soon going to have reserving directly through AI mode, that hotel that I was looking at, right? And again, just directly through their APIs, just integrating that directly in there. I think things like hotel ads, if you're in the sector I was looking at, I'm like, you're going to want to really look at that, because that's going to help them integrate directly into there. I surprise Google's going to like promote their ad stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think
Google find solution. I'm not worried about Google.
No, I mean, somehow they managed to keep increasing their revenue from ads quarter after
Of course.
quarter.
Yeah, even by now, what we can see, Google just learns organic reach. If it works for organic reach, then they can find a way how to put their ads.
Yeah.
And I think my prediction of the future, it's not will be like pay-per-click. I think it will be like direct sales that we have today on TikTok, on Facebook, even on ChatGPT. So basically, all these platforms are working now to connect customers directly from their platforms without marketing agencies, without these paid ads. I think Google is looking for this solution. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, like, it's tough to predict, but I think it will be like that.
Yeah, well, and they've already started to build in. I mean, we're talking about humans, right? Like that I'm actually visiting a site, I'm actually engaging with it, or I'm actually sitting in ChatGPT. I mean, we've all, or most of us, have probably used like deep research and sort of like sent it off agentically to like figure out stuff. I mean, if we flash forward even another year, 2 years from now into a more agentic nature, and for listeners who might not be familiar with what I'm talking to, we're referring to basically systems. Like, heck, I build agentic systems myself, but in this case, we're talking about systems baked into the tools that we use. So let's say I'm on AI mode, actually enabling it empowered to actually go out and make decisions for me, including what I might want to acquire, and actually making the protocols are already there in development still, but already there to connect it to the payment processing system. So if I just said, yeah, go out, find me a blue widget, size large, and acquire it. It's working on having that agency. Now, often, like, my instinct was I would never trust a system like that to use my credit card. But wouldn't I? Because there was a time that I wouldn't have gone to some random site on the web and entered my credit card on it, right? Like, there was a time I never would have done half the things I do now. Like, as far as like giving away my personal information, giving away my credit card information, giving away. So the idea of going, would I for like, I'm buying a car? Probably not. But would I for, I need to grab like a 1 foot, like I just had to make a purchase yesterday of a 1 foot Cat6 Ethernet cable. Would I trust that system to just go pick the cheapest one that's well reviewed? It's going to cost me $4 on Amazon and just have it show up. Absolutely, I would, right? So within those thresholds, just making decisions for me, and that's I 100% think we're doing there. So when I do that, okay, now who's the consumer, right? Like,
Yeah.
who am I optimizing for if I sell 1 foot Cat 5 or Cat 6 cables, right? Like, or Ethernet cables, right? Like, is it a bot? Is it Dave? Do I care what my website looks like anymore? Is it just about a feed that I'm dumping in? Is it, which agent is it that I'm optimizing for? How is that agent trained to make decisions, right? Like, it becomes a very, very different set of algorithms that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, nice.
It's going to be
Dave,
a fun future.
Yeah, Dave, I want to ask about AI overview. I checked a new study about that. I mean, like, according to the study that was published by SEMrush, that 30% of all keywords by now have AI overview. 30%. I mean, like, it's a big ratio, and it's growing. It's really growing. And they analyzed that traffic decreased plus 60%. So traffic was dropped. But I even see a good news here. Let me explain why. I mean, like, 80% of all these AI overviews are from info content, so top funnel. But e-commerce content still don't have this AI overview, like 50% only. So basically, it's a good news for marketers that are chasing volume. And I see it's a big issue when people open SEMrush or Ahrefs or any other tool. They can see volume, million traffic, and they, wow, I want to get this traffic. But it doesn't make any sense to create content for this traffic. And I saw that many times when people created a lot of content at scale, trying to cover all these keywords that don't bring sales, and you can't outrank Wikipedia and many other websites. So basically, today, many marketers can understand that it's better to focus on bottom funnel where you can get sales. What do you think about this AI overview today? How to adopt the strategy?
Yeah, there was an interesting study from, like, you're spot on. We're eroding our traffic, and it's in the top of the funnel, sort of that. How do I, that sort? If I was a publisher right now, I'd be like, well, my life kind of sucks, right? Like, it sucks if what you sell is information, because the simple fact is, and the same number of 1 foot Ethernet cables is going to get sold. So if I'm an e-com, to your point, if I'm if I run e-com, this kind of just gives me a little more focus, right? Like, I really only have to worry about this kind of content. The same number of cables are going to get sold. Fantastic. So I just need to make sure that wherever, as the landscape changes, as agents take over from humans, and as all of that happens, I just need to make sure that my cables are getting the right data in the right place at the right time and are well reviewed by people. In a piece from Siege Media, they talked about, and if you go to the Siege Media blog, it was just a few weeks ago that they published it. They came up with some studies of, and it was on, I think it was 7.2 million clicks that they were analyzing. The ones that lost the vast majority of traffic were exactly what we're talking about, the how-tos and the tutorials. Now, as somebody who's from a company that published a lot of how-tos and tutorials in the AI space, right? Like, how do I do this, right? It was like Stack Overflow, right? Like, we got it even worse in that context, right? Like, that's all they kind of did. It wasn't awesome from that context of just traffic, like if you're just looking at that context. But as the study from Siege Media came out, it started to show the types of content that do work, and it makes perfect sense. The type of content that they were getting that was showing the highest engagement was things like versus content. It was things like pricing pages. It was contact pages. It was comparison pages. It was tools and calculators, things that you can't do as well inside these systems in AI overviews, for example, is what they're comparing with. So that part syncs exactly to what you're saying. Now, where I'd push back a little bit on that, or not push back, but go, and here's another side of that, though, is, do I still want to, the question being, do I still want to produce that top of funnel content? If it's not getting the click, do I still want to produce it?
Yeah.
Seer Interactive came up with some studies, and these are like really, really low numbers, but we're really, really early on, showing there was rises in organic clicks, and it was pathetic. It was like from 0.6% to like 1.4% or something like that. It was like really, really small. When you appear in a citation, it may not be through to that citation, but just that like recognition that, hey, this company's over there. I would argue that if I put in what are the most reputable places to get an Ethernet cable, if my company is listed in there, I'm probably going to get that brand recognition and are more likely to make an acquisition. So to do that, I may need to have produced that top of funnel content. It's something I'm looking at heavily right now, is the impact on top of funnel brand mentions to bottom of funnel, sort of click-through rate increases. And I would suggest we do still need to produce that top and middle of funnel to have that awareness. So for example, in that Outer Banks example I was giving earlier, I'd actually already encountered a couple of the companies through earlier queries because they had that top of funnel. So of course, when I hit the bottom and I said, yeah, give me some companies, their names triggered in my brain. I'd already seen them before in a completely different application. It was just like, hey, they happen to have a guide page on that. Well, that plants in my brain, oh, okay, they know the area, right? Because they're clearly writing about the best restaurants in that area or whatever it might be. So I think we still need to be thinking about a robust strategy across all points of the funnel, but how we measure that is going to be dramatically different. And those of us that are trying to explain our attribution models now to our bosses, I'm lucky. I'm grateful because I work with people who understand how LLMs work and they understand what's going on, right? Like, great. I'm really, really lucky. But for most, having to explain to the boss, yeah, I know traffic's down 40%, but hey, that's great. Right? Because our brand traffic is up, and that means it's just moving from one place to another. We've done our job on top of funnel, like sort of visibility on these generative engines, and now we're being searched by brand and we're getting the clicks. That, like, having to explain that to your boss who's only looking at traffic going down is really, really challenging. And I'm trying to switch the conversation for myself and for others to like, okay, but let's just actually look at which assets are we building that are good for revenue and organic search, like revenue by revenue team, and how do those help us convert on the user journey, first touch, last touch, whatever it might be. How do they impact? How does the visibility of these things impact? So what's our visibility on top of funnel? Do we get a brand mention or just a citation? And how does that relate? And I can't answer this. I'm still studying it right now. How does that relate to clicks further down the funnel and brand search on Google, as well as clicks through on systems like chat?
Yeah, I got your point. Yeah, I mean, like, interesting. But what do you think about creating this top funnel content in order to get this topical authority? Because for me, I mean, like, it's possible to create even bottom and medium funnel content for getting topical authority, but top funnel, I mean, like, it's really if only about this goal, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, like, if customers can ask about that. So if you get customers can ask, please clarify something, you can send them your article from your website. Yeah, it makes sense. But if most customers are coming with I don't know, probably wanna buy or ready to buy because you're not Wikipedia to teach them. For example, what is SEO? I don't have article what is SEO on my blog because they can learn on Wikipedia, on ChatGPT, on many other places. But medium and bottom funnel can make more sense. What do you think about? So
that's a great question and a really, really good point. Because I think we're now heading back into the just absolutely classic SEO dilemma, right? Like, would I target with my site if I were you, for example, or me when I was running an agency? Did I target SEO as a query? Heck no, right? Like, heck no, I would never go after something that Wikipedia, to your point, that Wikipedia should have, right? It's not my job to educate people on what this is. My job is to educate on the more niche aspects of, like, at the time when I was running an agency, because I can speak more like broadly about strategies that I would use there. There, it did make more sense to, build a little authority on stuff that wasn't conversion oriented, right? Have a page on, black hat versus gray hat versus white hat and stuff like that. That was also a sales point for me going, we just do this kind. But here's so you understand what all of this means and the risks and downsides of using sort of black hat, for example. So stuff that was authority building, but to your point, also served my funnel, right? Which is what was important. So it was more mid and lower level. I think the same thing transitions over into the context that we're talking about on large language models. Would I be writing, and this is something I can say, like in the context of my current job, would I be writing massive pieces on what is machine learning? Heck no, right? Like there's no way we're going to rank for it. There's no way we should rank for it, right? Like this is not, we're a platform provider. We have certain context. We should be talking about experiment tracking for sure, because that's part of what we do, right? So we should be talking about these subsets, and so that's where I focus our energy. So to your point, if we think really broadly, yes, I'm actually hovering more in the middle and bottom of the funnel if we view machine learning as the total sort of topic. I tend to view it as like in my niche area, I'm covering all the different stages that somebody could be looking at, including areas that might not be specifically to what we do, but somebody's trying to build an anomaly detection system because they're looking up, fraud detection in their banking application or something like that. Okay, like, yes, we should be covering anomaly detection, right? Because it does relate to us, even if it's not serving our direct purpose. And of course, I'll include how it's done with weights and biases tool set, in there, but the actual specific target isn't of that content isn't actually somebody directly asking for us. So I would view that almost as top of funnel because it's really, really broad, but you're right. You could make a strong argument that actually hovers more in the middle of the funnel.
Nice. Dave, let's talk about AI written content. I mean, like, you understand how LLM works. And the last time I got a lot of guides how to optimize for geo, how to create content that, I mean, like ChatGPT or Google AI mod will love. And honestly, I disagree with many statements on these guides because our industry is going fast. Many things are changing. According to some data, 50% of all results are changing in 1 month. So basically, if you get some replies, it doesn't mean you get them in the next month. Sometimes I don't get even in a few minutes. I can submit the same question and get different answers, for one question. So for me, I mean, like, I like more approach from Gary Vaynerchuk when he said, write for humans, bring value. And I think all these AI models are working to catch this content, to bring this content. But the last time I can see when many experts recommend to create questions answers content like FUK or any other things. Do you think it's a good idea even if it works in short time? Do you think it's like it will work for a long time? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question. If we base it on a study that was just done recently from the fine folks at Microsoft, actually just said, here's how you optimize for generative models, which it was a great piece. So I highly recommend reading it. You can just look up like generative engine optimization, Microsoft. I'm sure you'll land at their piece. It's good. It's just like a really, really easy 5-minute read on just some tips. All of it really obvious, but sometimes it's just good to have the obvious reinforced or obvious to those of us that have been doing this for a while. In that case, they've actually specifically on the question answer said, yes, go question here, answer here, right? Like just make it as easy as possible for the system to understand it. Now, to the point you might make on this one, that's going to read really dumb, right? Like if I'm a human being going through, that's going to be not necessarily the most natural flow of a page, right? So I can see some layouts that would actually just have like a complete article, and I can say I have tested them, not with the company I work with. I've just done some like sort of like side tests on different blog posts and stuff like that, and having like some longer form content, and then having a questions answered on this page right? Just direct questions where it might not be really clear on the page, like exactly how you pull out that in a one sentence answer sort of question, like question answer. Having that list at the bottom does work. It hands down did, because you're making it really easy. It's like adding schema to a website, right? I mean, it's a completely different thing, but it's just a very clear, like, this is the questions and answered. I've said these are questions answered on this page. I've answered these. Now, I sort of skewed my own data by actually including the FAQ schema for those very questions that were answered on the page. So I don't know whether it was having them written down there or having the schema in there that worked, but the combination of the two did make them rank much better, and did help them get pulled into citations for more broadly focused questions. Because when the system itself, like when you're typing in, like, you know, how do I do X, Y, or Z, it does its query fan out. It looks up a bunch of other different like queries to sort of pull in and go, what else should I be including around this topic? It was pulling in more of the questions that we had answered on our page, because I was basing those questions and the content that we were including in part on what questions did I think were trying to be answered by the AI overview, like sort of looking at the content or the citations it was grabbing and going, what's the implied question? Let's include those on the page. Yeah. So that does work. Will it work for long? Maybe not. I'm not 100% sure. But in that format, it doesn't actually, it's almost like a TLDR at the bottom. Like I was like, if it did end up getting burnt down, it doesn't actually ruin the content to, by the time you've gotten to the bottom, just go, here's the questions we've answered in just like a nice succinct format that a human being could actually engage with. So.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, interesting about that. I want to ask about traditional SEO metrics, meta text, title, description. Actually, we built tool on that can measure all meta text, title, descriptions, and H1. We measure many other metrics, but specifically, we started with that because we double traffic. Oh, sorry for that. It's just real. So we double traffic for one project. Yeah, actually, it's my son. He wants to learn something. Okay, but people can see it's real. It's live. So yeah. I'll reply to him later. If he wants to download any new game on his iPhone, he will call many times. If something is necessary for him, yeah, he will stop calling. Okay. Okay, Dave. Yeah, and we built tool about this meta text, title, description, H1 to score them, and we double traffic for one project that was weight loss supplements in the US. And it costs like a few $1 million, this traffic, when we got it. And the main problem with this traffic, with this project, was that all meta texts were written for the sake of putting keywords without provoking curiosity to open this page, without giving a strong reason to open this page. So when we rewrote all this meta text, we increased traffic, we double traffic, because people are not blind. They usually read before clicking. So that is why we created this tool. But what I can see, some experts can say that meta text description don't play a huge role today. So meta text title is important, meta text title H1 headline is important, but someone can say description is not. And even some of them provided some studies. When they removed descriptions, traffic didn't decrease. I don't see the same confirmation from Google, from Microsoft Bing. They still say, no, it's important. This meta text can give a reason, probably it can help to learn about content. Amazon still has it. So what do you think about this meta text specifically? Your opinion?
Yeah, it's funny because it's an interesting question to ask, but it seems like it should be just such a simple one. Do I think it's a strong SEO signal? A strong direct SEO signal. No. Like, I mean, Google's been pretty clear on that one. I don't think that they look at your description tag and go, hey, that has like the keywords in there. Let's like bump that up, right? Like it's so easy to manipulate that I just can't see that happening. And it does. I think they basically said it a few times now. Now, do I still think writing strong description tags is important? Heck yes. it's incredibly important. And I love like literally a thing that you said, because I think it's just one of these unsung areas, and where you could argue that description tags do impact SEO, right? And I actually do think that indirectly they do, but indirect is still important when you're battling for fractions of percents in an algorithm, right? So, and that is, if you've written a good description tag, not just keyword stuff, right? Like we can all do that. And that's probably why Google went, yeah, we need to just get the SEOs out of this. Like we just need to like get description tags out of this. But if you're writing a description tag that invokes the curiosity of the person and offers them a promise of an answer to whatever query was in their head when they're reading your title and description tag and deciding whether to click through your site, if you can invoke that curiosity and confidence that you are going to answer that question for them, 100% that's going to assist the click. And I don't care how much Google says, hey, we don't use our click data to impact search results. Like, I don't think that I can sit there with like Mechanical Turk or whatever and just like mess with results all over the planet. But I do know that if I were them, it's a natural to go sites that, you know, get clicked on more, and where the post-click behavior is favorable, i.e., they're not on that site for 3 seconds and then back on Google clicking the next result sort of scenario, which Google has access to all of that. In those environments, that should help. Or potentially, if I can't remember, it was Gary Eyes at some point in the past, basically nuanced it a little different when basically it's not that they'll reward that site because that's too easy to game, but they will look at their overall algorithm to sort of reduce the sites that don't have that engagement. And to me, I always find that a weird one. It's like, okay, if you're penalizing the people that don't have what I have, then that's kind of rewarding people that have what I have, right? Like if you're, no, we're not treating a click as like a bonus, but we're just punishing the people that don't have them, then it's a bonus, right? Like then it's a positive factor. So I think in that context, it is favorable, but it's one of my favorite things in SEO where it's like, even if I'm wrong, even if I'm absolutely out to lunch and all I've done is increase qualified clicks to my site from organic search without ever impacting a ranking, the ranking isn't the end goal. The click is. So if all I've done is increase my clicks, I can't think of a client on earth that wouldn't go, hey, our traffic is up 10%. That's bad, right? Like that's never going to happen. I mean, I guess it depends if you ended up with some spam, but you know, if it's that qualified traffic, you've accomplished the goal for the client. So it's one of those wonderful scenarios where it's like, even if I'm wrong, I win. So you know, your approach is great. And I'm glad to see or hear that you sort of switched the whole system to favor that kind of consideration of like, it's actually about the visitor and the click.
Yeah. And I personally really don't care a lot about indirect or redirect. You know, indirect sometimes can be phenomenal. For example, like if you go to the gym, you want to build muscles. So going to the gym, direct. Indirect, eating healthy food. But most people can say that eating healthy food and racing can have better impact than going to the gym. So I mean, like, because it's the same with direct or indirect in SEO. If it brings more clicks, if you get more clicks, you know, people can behave better on your website, can show Google that this content is valuable. So Google can find a reason to rank you higher. So direct, indirect, it doesn't matter. So it's my point of view about that.
It's totally right, though. And what business doesn't just want to make more money and get more eyeballs, right? Like if you've done that, you've done your job, whether it's through a higher ranking or just increased clicks.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't care about ranking. I care about traffic. If I get traffic, so okay, that's better than having ranking, you know, with low score. Dave, I have my final question, very important question for my audience about things that happen by now. So basically, many big tech companies laid off a lot of people. And the main reason because of AI. We made a study that 65,000 people lost jobs in big tech companies. For example, Microsoft fired 9,000 people, IBM 8,000, a lot of people, and very smart people, because it's tough to join these companies if you're not smart. You need to have great skills. You need to know how to change the world. And these people lost jobs because of AI. I'm pretty sure these people will find another job or start their own companies because they are smart. But I want to ask about interns. Basically, many years companies hired interns in order to give them some job, manual, boring job, task. People can find some experience, learn how to do some things. I mean, like to acquire this experience and to become experts in one day. But today, most companies are looking for AI agents that can replace this people, that AI can do this job. So I just want to ask for my audience, youngsters who want to join this niche, but nobody wants to hire them. And I got a lot of requests. Please help us to find a job, how to start, what to do. So I want to ask you, for example, let's imagine you don't have a job, you don't have skills, it's your first day in SEO, you don't know anything about this niche, but you have big wish to change the world, to join this niche, to become an expert in one day. What will you do if you do everything from scratch?
If I was doing everything from scratch right now, I would, because you're right, people are trying to replace them with agents. And to go, who do I think will win the battle? Because every company is in a battle right now, right? So just understanding that every company is in a battle with all of their competitors, right? SEMrush, well, I guess is in like a different battle now, but let's go to like yesterday SEMrush and go like they were in a battle with like Ahrefs. I'm just trying to go with like just normal sort of like SEO companies that we might be looking at, right? And if I wanted to intern at both of the places, are both of them trying to sort of like use agents? 100%. Both of them are trying to do that. But if one of them all of a sudden lays a bunch of people off, right, and goes like, oh, okay, we've like replaced these 100 people with agents, and the other person goes, okay, we don't need those 100 people anymore to do that job. Now we're going to train them or use them to increase the velocity of what these agents can do. Let's say you come up with like a content, like I've published, sort of Python on an older version of this, but like one to create outlines for sort of like articles that I would say hand to my authors. If I can come up with a system that makes the agentic aspect of that produce much more reliable outlines to where I only need one person to proof it and I can have like 10 authors working, and the other person goes, oh, okay, I can just like do the same volume I've always been doing, and I can have like one author now just proofing it and working with these outlines. Great. And Dave, working for the other company, goes, okay, I'm going to have one person doing that. I'm going to have the other 9 people instead of these like 9 people I was going to lay off. I'm going to have the other 9 people writing and the one person just monitoring and like grading the system. I win. So it'll be the companies that actually don't lay off that do. And I think what we'll need, if I was that intern, I'd be focusing on understanding, okay, here's an agentic system here, like here's how they're using agents in their workforce, or even just imagine it. They probably aren't publishing it, but like even just imagining, okay, how would I be using agentic systems? Understanding agentic systems, take a couple courses on them. They're not actually like, to speak about it broadly is not actually that difficult because we're not asking you to make them at this point. We're just asking you to understand them at this point. Sure, build one, Crew AI, use it, like build a quick little agentic system, takes an hour to do it, understand it, and then go in and go, here's where I fit. Here, like actually in the pitch, just like, here's where I fit in this agentic system. Heck, I can just be the grader. I will just sit there as you're producing content or titles or descriptions or this or that, like on your system, right? Like as it's producing these systems for customers, having somebody just sitting there giving it a thumbs up, thumbs down. Was this good? Was this bad? If not, why? What aspect was good or bad? Was it a critical failure? So that you can then send that data back, do some retraining, and produce a better system for the next version. I think those are the interns. It's a simple job, really easy to do. It's like the quality raters guides at Google, right? Like it's a really simple job to do, but it's a really important one that I think will set that bar, and then it'll prepare you for like, okay, I know how to grade it. I've taken some time to learn how to build it, and then when you're moving out of internship, now you're ready for the next stage of being the person that actually deploys these solutions, right? So that's sort of what I'd be looking at doing. And pitching that you're better off not to shrink your workforce.
Yeah, you know, when I was young, to get any knowledge, I should sign to library and go. I mean, like to spend like a few hours to go there, you know, to search for a book. Today, YouTube, ChatGPT, Google. We
Yeah.
have a lot of free resources. Free, just open, learn, and try. It's
Yeah.
important to implement whatever you've learned. You need to implement because overlearning doesn't bring anything. You need to try to make your things hands dirty, you know, then you can figure out what actually will work for you, and to be patient because you can't get results for a few days, even months, sometimes years you need to spend just to get first results, you know,
Yeah.
to acquire this experience. Dave, it's a big pleasure to get on my show. I love this experience. Welcome back anytime to share more valuable insights. I hope next time you will join not your AI avatar represented in the future because I don't know about this situation. It's going really fast. It might be like my AI avatar, your AI avatar will speak about that. You know?
Yeah. We'll watch the show after, find out what we said.
Yeah, yeah. So let us know the best way how to keep learning from you, how to reach out to you, how to follow you.
Probably the best is if you just hunt for me on LinkedIn. It's just linkedin.com/online inference is my username over there. And that's where I do most of my engagement. I'm on there more than most other platforms.
Nice. Guys, you can find the link in the description below. Listen us on Apple, Google, Spotify, and see you next time.